Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 59 of Design Cinema. This is Feng Zhu speaking, and this episode is called Before and After. So we've been getting a lot of requests from you guys on both our YouTube channel as well as Facebook to see the works of our students prior to them enrolling into our school. And I think the reason for that is because I think you guys want to see, okay, where do our students exactly stand before they enter our program? And I think there could be a misunderstanding that most of our students that enter our program are actually professionals, and that could be very far from the truth. In fact, I think the amount of professionals entering our school is very low, and if they are professional, they're not concept artist professionals. We might have maybe one or two students who are concept artists before, but the rest of them, most are just coming in completely fresh. Now, why do they get better as within a 1-year program? And that's what this episode is going to explain. I'm not just going to show you guys a bunch of before stuff because you have 3 students here selected, but I'm not going to show you just before and then show them the after and then call that a day, because that's not very informational. Instead, I'll show you the before and the after, of course, but I'll follow up to explain why that is. Why is the training so important, the understanding the core fundamentals. And the second part is I'm going to take some of their designs, from some of these guys, and bring it into my own design flavor by adding in the core fundamentals without changing design, right? Taking the same ideas as these guys came in before school and redesigned to show you why that once you apply the core fundamental stuff, you can actually take designs that might not look so good and make it better. But let me just first open this stuff up. So we got 3 students here. Andrea Susini from Italy, he already graduated, really, really good student afterwards. We have 2 students here, Eric and Shakate, who are both currently enrolled. In fact, they've only been here for less than 6 months. So these guys are quite new in our school. But first, let's just open up a bunch of these Susini stuff here. Okay. So this guy here came from, I think, Milan, Italy, if I'm not mistaken. And this is his before. So this is stuff that he submitted into our school's portfolio as an entrance. And from a professional point of view, as soon as you see this stuff, you know that this is amateur art, right? Is it that bad? No, I don't think it's that bad. But is it good enough for him to get a job? I don't think so. And by the way, I'm recording this in real time, right? I'm just so you guys can see all this. So when we look at this, these are the typical portfolios you see coming from amateurs submitting into game studios and film studios. And one look, within fractions of a second, you know that, okay, this guy here is not officially trained. This is what I like to call high school art. The kind of stuff you use to draw in your homeworks and stuff. It's not so good. You kind of have an understanding of how things work, but there's no fundamentals. There's no understanding of design. There really isn't much stuff there. And again, very easy for us to tell that the person here is not trained. And these are, I think, the majority kind of portfolios we get in this school, that as soon as you look at it, you're like, okay, this guy has the ability to think because he's got some ideas here. He's got these cool characters and spaceships and stuff, but the way it's presented is just not good. It's amateur-ish. It's high school-ish, right? So let me close Andrea Susini's stuff up here and show you a little bit of within a year what he was able to achieve. Okay, and this is all going to be recorded in HD, so you guys could pause and take a closer look. So let's go to after here. Here's Susini's stuff. Let's open up a few of these things. Hopefully it doesn't kill my computer. Let me just randomly tag a few of these things. These are going to be pretty high resolution, so I'll give it some time to open up here. All right, here they come. So Susini worked really, really hard. The key to all this, of course, is the understanding part, but the other part, of course, is hard work. You cannot achieve these kind of results without just hundreds of hours of work. But you're seeing there's going to be a major difference in quality. Okay, so here it comes again. So let's let the images load. Okay, I'm just going to go through some of these. You can see this image here. This is only week 9 into our school. This is first term, so it's only been in our school for 9 weeks, and he's already achieving this kind of quality. Okay. Here's some other stuff. This is, I think, term 2, early term 2. You can see down here it says week 1. So this is only after about 15 weeks of studying. Okay. Now, I'm not doing this video to try to help promote our school and say, oh, look, we're awesome, whatever. I'm trying to show you guys that there's 2 ways to study. There is the hard work way, or the kind of mindless way of drawing, just drawing, and getting really slow results. And there's the other way, which is understanding. And that's the way we teach in our program, right? We don't just force a student to draw things over and over again, because that's muscle memory. And I think that's how most self-taught artists, as far as, even when I was in high school, that's the way I drew. I like the characters. I just draw the same character over and over and over again. And each time you draw it, you get a little bit better at it. But what you're essentially doing is you're training muscle memory. you're drawing that same thing because you've repetitively drawn it. You could correct mistakes each time. So by the 50th time, you come up with a pretty good drawing. But does that necessarily you a good designer and good artist? Possibly not, because if you change subject matters, go, hey, stop drawing that character, now draw this vehicle, then everything goes to reset because your muscle memory hasn't done that. Instead, you do everything by understanding of the core fundamentals, which I'll get to after I show you guys a bunch of this work. Once you understand how the core stuff works, you could adopt that skill to anything. You could draw environments, vehicles, characters, props. Doesn't really matter. You can see Susini here is demonstrating a wide range of abilities. Here's a bunch of jets that he made up, and from hard surface go right away to soft surface, and they all look professional. So something like this in a portfolio definitely is not amateur. This is enough to get him a good job. In fact, that's what he has now, right? So he's one of those guys that got hired on the spot at his grad show because his work was so strong. So you can see this is Susini's work. So this is only about, this is week 9, term 2, right? So this is about 6 months into our program. He's already achieving these very professional level work, right? And this is the kind of stuff we see often in our program because of the way that we teach understanding versus muscle memory. Students could achieve really, really good results. Usually after about 7 weeks into our program, that's it. Less than 2 months, they're already seeing results that's far superior to their entrance portfolios. Okay, so that's Susini stuff. So sorry if I'm going a little fast. You guys could feel free to pause on YouTube and take a look, or you could just type his name and find his blog. You can see all this stuff on there as well. Okay, so let me show you a few more guys stuff. Okay, so that's Susini stuff. Let me open up. Let's go to Shakate. Let's go to his before. Okay, so this guy here doing really well currently in our school. I think he comes from Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. So let me just open up some, just randomly pick some stuff that's in here. He's got a PDF, so I have to kind of do this with it. All right, let's open this up and let's take a look. All right, so these are typical, very typical. And if you look at it, it has the same feeling as Susini's work, which is the high school look. The stuff you do in homework, when you're doing your math homework, and then on a corner you draw a little sketch. The idea is there, like I could see temples, I could see these tents around a Greek arena. Is it horrible? For someone who doesn't draw, no, this is pretty okay. But for professionals looking at portfolios to hire you to do professional work, no, there's no way this stuff will get you hired into a game or film studio because it looks amateurish, it looks high school, right? So you look at this, nothing really spectacular. He's trying things, he's trying marker first, he's trying all these things, but it's not so good. But why do we accept students like this? It's because we're looking at it as like, okay, this is a designer's mind. Right? He's putting down ideas. Like here's a Legolas kind of character, right, from Lord of the Rings. Here's some other girl in a weird chair. He's not doing illustrative type drawings. For example, he's not doing a mountain, or he's not drawing an apple, or these kind of things, or attempt to be illustrative. What you're seeing here is actually designs. It's just that he cannot get the designs out. And I think some of you might know what I'm talking about, right? You have these great ideas in your head. You try to draw it out, it just doesn't come out. And the only way to get that out before you are trained is to draw the same thing over and over again until it comes out. And that's the hard way of doing things. That's the way that most of us, myself included, drew prior to education. But again, once you know how the stuff works, there's a formula to all this, you could adopt that formula to everything. So whatever is in your head, most of the time you can get it out, right? To about 60-70%, you can extract that imagination back out. For this kind of stuff, I'm sure that he sees this city as mega and all these lights and really cool stuff, but when it comes out, it doesn't look that good. So he's got this like post-apocalyptic city, but I don't see that here. In his mind, he probably does. So our job here is to train him to extract the visual library, which I mentioned in the previous episode. Get that visual library, use the fundamentals that we teach, and extract all that stuff out. So let's take a quick look at his after. I gotta do no save on these because these are PDFs, so Photoshop wants me to save them. I'll say no. All right, close. All right, so let's take a look at what he's doing. So again, Shakate is still in school. He has not graduated. In fact, he's only halfway through. So he's got another half year to go. But let's see what he has achieved in the meantime. Let's just open some of these. These are big files because we haven't shrunken them down. You can see they're 25% view. Hopefully the HD is high enough that you can see all these details. All right, here we go. You can see, wow, this is a dramatic change in quality. This here is already semi-pro. Very cool design, very good line work, good presentation, good forms, good design. So I love this ship actually. When I saw it, it looks really, really cool. So let's move around here. Let's go to this one. Here's another variation of the kind of stuff. So you can look how closely everything is starting to go pro. The line weight, the perspective, the fundamental stuff, and this is all hard surface stuff here. Here's some of his product design stuff, which we do in this school as well. Besides the entertainment stuff, we train our students to do some product design thinking because it's good for the brain to think like this, right? So you can see, very cool, very good presentation. This is a leaf within a book. It's like for kids to collect the leaves. Here's some, I think, ground exploration vehicle or something to dig up fossils. Pretty cool. Pretty well drawn. So he's still got 6 months more to go. So at the current stage, this is looking pretty nice. And you can see a pretty wide range of subject matters, right? Going from kind of entertainment all the way down to products, okay, and characters as well, right? So, when you're self-teaching, I think one of the things that you notice is that, by the way, there's nothing wrong with self-teaching. Okay, I'm not using that example saying somehow that's not good. There's many artists out there who are self-taught correctly. But the thing is, if you self-teach, you have to know which direction to go down. Okay, you don't need to necessarily go to a school, but to understand which way to study is important. So what we do here is we teach you fundamentals. We teach you the core building blocks of how this stuff comes together. Once you know that, then there's no subject matter that comes into the picture, right? When you're self-teaching, I'll just use my case as an example so I don't offend anybody. But for me, it's like always characters, right? All you do is draw characters. And if someone tells you to draw a vehicle, you're completely lost because you're drawing by memory. You're drawing that character by eye, right? Every time you do it by eyeball. And over you draw 100 times, it gets better. But what we do here at Fundamentals is that we teach you the building blocks. So characters, vehicles, environments, it doesn't matter. As long as it exists in 3D space, you could draw it out because there's formulas to plot it out. So, and that's why you see this kind of diversification in our students' works. So let me close him. Let's take a look at one more guy's work. So let's see, I'll go to before. So Eric, he's also Eric Radman. I'm not sure which country he's from. Norway, I think Northern European country. So I apologize, I didn't in advance ask which country he's from here. Let me just open some of his stuff. Oh, I saw a pretty bad spaceship in there. So, and by the way, these students are volunteered to show their work, so it's not like I'm taking advantage of them. They know I'm doing this with their work. So Eric, again, he's currently enrolled. He's in the same class as Shakate, the previous guy. So this is his work. And you guys probably starting to see a commonality between this, Susini, and Shakate's work, is that there's this high school feel to it. There's a very amateur look to it. And trust me, when this kind of stuff shows up in a game studio, you have no chance. Do you know what I'm saying? So you look at this like, okay, this is high school art. This guy is not on the same level as professionals. So, and I believe Eric actually went through a couple of years of art school, if I'm not wrong, because some of the stuff here looks art schooled resulted. And one way to tell is the randomness of it, right? You have some like perspective assignment, probably some kind of cell shading assignment, some character design assignment, a vehicle, but they're all different styles, which means different teachers, and different execution, different themes, like going from animation to see this is a comic book frame or something. So probably I'm guessing this is from some kind of school that he went to prior. But this is not a designer portfolio. The content is interesting. He's got ideas, but the execution and the finish is nowhere close to being pro yet. So let's take a look at Eric's after. Okay, let's close these up. Boom. This one is just crazy. The red and blue here. All right, and this is, by the way, is what they submit to our school before they enter. So, all right, let's go to after. Here's Eric. All right, let's open up some of these. Pretty cool. Whoops, some of this is the same file, so let's just open it once. Let's do that. This guy. Let's grab that guy. This guy. All right, grab this. Okay, whatever. Okay, let's open these up and see what they look like. And this is still his term 2 stuff mostly, so he's still got 6 months to go. This is actually term 1, I believe. Let me see what this is. No, perspective 2. Oh, this is pretty recent. This is probably done within the last week or so. As you can see, very good. Somebody's opened twice. Pretty nice drawing. So Eric has gotten really, really good with his fundamentals. You can see that he's very strong with his environments. Here's some cool vehicles. Right. You can see drastic difference in quality and presentation. This stuff is looking very, very pro, right? If this stuff shows up in the art department right now, you're not going to say, okay, this guy has no idea what he's doing. In fact, you're like, wow, this guy draws really well. He knows all his fundamentals. He knows design. He knows presentation. All those things, are your benefits when looking for work. Okay, let me open a few more because I think there's a few more cool stuff in here. Let's see. Let's grab this cool. It's got some cool characters on these ones. This is actually one of my design classes where this it's like an exploration toy for kids. Okay. Let's see this one as well. All right, some cool thing that you wear around your arms. Here's an interior shot. Here's some other crazy looking characters. Let's open those up. Just show you the range that these guys have. Right, here's some colonial shrimp characters or something like that. You know, some of the fun stuff we do here. Okay. But you can see it's all grounded in fundamentals. Okay, they read correctly, they're sitting in 3D space, they look pleasing to the eye. Here's an interior shot as well. Okay, and so let me close these up so you guys again can pause in YouTube to take a closer look. Right. And some of his work is on our website as well. So I really like this one. This one's pretty cool. A barge. This is for a recent project he did in one of my classes actually, which is a vehicle that takes you from LA to New York in a kind of chaotic scene like zombie invasion or alien invasion or something like that. So it's kind of like a pack rat type of vehicle, and so these two are from that class. Really well drawn, really well done. Especially, you know, if I open up his before, just take a look. It's drastic. And again, this is within 6 months. You know, let's open up some of his other landscape stuff. Right, same person. You know what I'm saying? But very, very different in quality. So, and this is what makes teaching fun. You know, when we see students come in drawing like this, we know they're frustrated, they have ideas, they want to do cool stuff, but yet they cannot. They cannot make it come out. So when you see students start reaching this, now their ideas starts to come out, they have a huge boost of confidence. It's great to see. All right. So here's another early perspective. Right. Here's a ship. Right. There's early stuff. This is current stuff. You can see very, very different. Okay. So let me close this up. Let me just open up a new image here real quick to do some writing, and then I'll get to the demo part real quick, right? So what we're actually doing, okay, is why is there such a big improvement? It's because we're talking about core fundamentals here. Let me write that down. Core fundamentals, okay? This is the key to all of it, okay? Oops, I left the L somewhere. Core fundamentals, there's an L right there, right? Oops, toes, there we go. Sorry, bad spelling. Because there's a slight delay in Camtasia. Hard to see what you're writing. There's a fraction of a second delay. Anyways, core fundamentals. So just like when you're lifting weights or body training, the first thing you want to do is build up your core muscles, right? Like your abs, your back, your shoulders, right? These muscles have support all your limbs. If those muscles are strong, you could do all the other exercises much easier. So the two ways I was talking about earlier of training, this is the core way. Okay, this is the muscle way. This is just, you know, guys in the gym lifting weights but without doing the core. It's just kind of openly just doing all sorts of stuff. But that doesn't really improve you. The core strength is important. Okay, so core strength. Keep missing letters here. Okay, so this is the muscle memory way. You draw the same pictures once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Right? Each time you draw, you correct a little bit. But this is a 2D way of approaching a drawing. So by the time you get to the 50th drawing, this will probably look better than this one. But then you draw this 100 times, right? By the time you reach 100, this one will look better than this one. So, however, if I change the subject matter, go stop drawing this thing and give me something new, okay? Let me write a little better. I shouldn't be so sloppy on these, right? Write something new. Then you have to start from scratch, start from zero, and go through this entire process. And this is how I used to draw. And it's very, very frustrating because you feel like, okay, I got it. I got this kind of character. I could draw this girl's face really good, or I could draw this vehicle in this view very good. And as soon as the subject matter changes, like, oh no, I gotta go right back to the beginning again. So this is muscle memory. This is 2D thinking. This is how a lot of people draw. In fact, a lot of our students come to our school drawing this way. And most of the time, this will equal that high school look, right? No offense to high school, but I just use this as an example because high school is prior to university training, right? So the high school, oops, man, I keep spelling stuff wrong. Okay, high school look, right? And this kind of stuff, an easy way to spot it is that every time you look it back, like say you get to the 150th drawing, you look back, this stuff looks bad. So bad, good, right? There's this progression through time in terms of the same subject matter. Now, if you go to core strength, what we teach you at first is none of this stuff here. We don't draw subject matters. We teach you things like perspective, right, anatomy, all that kind of lighting. I'm taking some shortcuts here. These are all core fundamentals, and they're very boring, like drawing box, rendering a sphere, right? Once you know how 3D objects sits in 3D space, then we could apply lighting on top of that 3D space. And all that has to do with a lot of science, okay? Understanding, very, very important. Let me just understanding. Okay, with these kind of things combined, you don't need to do this because now we know, okay, here's how object sits in 3D space. Okay. If a light is coming from this way, okay, how do we calculate the drop shadow? All that stuff we could do, right? So this is the important part. And once you know how to draw basic forms, you could break it into very complex forms. So instead of drawing the same thing over and over and over and over again, like you see here, you draw it once, you draw it one time, and you should look pretty good because you're building all these core fundamentals into this drawing. So these kind of drawings, say this is year 1, this is year 5 of this student's career, right? He's already a pro here. If he looks back at some of these, there are no mistakes. This still looks good. Like if you look at good perspective assignments that schools do, there's no mistakes, right? You look back, for example, if I open up some of their after stuff. Okay, let's open that really cool looking ship earlier. This one, right? There really isn't anything that will age on this. This ship will still look good 5 years from now because the core fundamentals is in play, right? The perspective, all these things look pretty good. The design looks pretty good. The presentation are good. The line weight is good. These are all core fundamentals. So therefore, this drawing will not age. They'll still stay the same. The only thing that will age is the design itself, right? Like certain designs will look 70s, some will look 80s or whatever. So that part will age because it has to do with popular culture. But in terms of drawing itself, it doesn't get worse or get better. Just like these here will have an aging, right? The more you draw it, the look back, it's like, oh man, I used to be really, really bad. Versus like, you look over here, it's like, this is good, still good, okay? And that's the importance of fundamentals, okay? So let me see here. So what I'm gonna do now, and hopefully this makes sense to you guys, okay? So what we train in my program and what we focus entirely on is core strength training, right? We don't do too much fun stuff for the first 6 months. It's all about the science and understanding. Once you can open up that side of your brain and understand how things work, then man, everything opens up. If you want to draw cities, you want to draw characters, creatures, doesn't matter. You know, now you have the tools, you have the core strength to pull that stuff out. And this stuff becomes kind of silly. This kind of drawing by memory and drawing by eye, right? Let's just call this draw by eye. Draw by eye is so scary in production because every time you start a new project, you have to start from zero. You know what I'm saying? Because you haven't drawn it before. You start with core fundamentals, you start everything pretty much at 80%. Because you already know how to get to that 80% very quickly. It's that 20% that takes the hard work. That's the design execution, presentation, your choices of shapes and forms, all that kind of stuff. But the 80% gets you there. Most pros, if you look at most pros' work, they could get to the 80% within the first 10 to 20 minutes. And you look at digital paintings, a drawing, a sketch, sometimes faster. Super pros could get to that 80% within fractions of a minute. You know what I mean? 2-minute sketch will look good. That does not work when you're drawing by eye, especially if you are, say, in the high school range of stuff, learning. You have to come, erase, draw, erase, correct, erase, start it over, draw again, right? Very time consuming, completely unfeasible in a production pipeline because we do not work this way. We work this way, okay? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to fast forward now. This is all being real time, so I hope this first section helps you. I'm now going to take a look at, let's just open some since we're still recording here. Maybe we'll go to Susini or something. Let's take a look at some of their designs, and I'm going to take some of these, maybe 1 or 2 of these guys, and I'm going to apply fundamentals on it. Because the design on these, I could see where they're going. You know, when you've done this enough, you could sort of see, okay, I could see what the student wants to do in these images. You know, this guy's got kind of like this demon character with these spikes and stuff. But the proportion balance, the execution, no fundamentals, there's nothing in here, doesn't look good. This one has a little bit of fundamentals in it, but it doesn't look good. But design itself is relatively okay. You know, so I'll show you guys. Let me see if I can open up a few more. Here's in the PDF, a little hard. I'll see if I can redraw some of these. I'll probably do a scene, so it's a little bit faster, like a painting or something. And let's see what these are. Okay, I'll go back and just choose it, and I'll do that next section in fast forward to show you guys. Okay, after we take a pro touch to it, you know, putting all the fundamentals and all that kind of stuff, how the same thing could become pretty cool when applied correctly. Okay, so I'll see you guys in part 2. All right. Alright, so we are now in the sped up section of the video. What I've done is chosen 3 designs done by our students prior to them enrolling in our school. So these are the kind of the amateur drawings, but I actually chose some that are not so bad. These ones are actually kind of okay looking because the idea behind them is quite good. Just to show you guys that with strong fundamentals and the understanding of some of the basic setups for these things, you can achieve something very, very cool in a very short amount of time. Now I sped this up. But in real time, each of these paintings, doing these kind of black and white paintings, took about 15 minutes each. So within 15 minutes, you're able to capture the grand idea. Now, compared to the students' original versions, as you can see those, again, keep in mind, these are done before they were in our school. So these are their kind of the entrance portfolio stuff, their lack perspective and proper anatomy and shot design, all that kind of things. But what I'm doing here is showing that once you understand how those things work, within 15-20 minutes, for a student, obviously that'll take longer, maybe 2 hours or so, they could capture the exact same thing but at a much higher level. And this is the kind of stuff that you can start showing your clients, and they won't think that you are an amateur. And that's the whole point of having this kind of proper education, to know what are the steps, so you're not working in the blind. You're not guessing, but knowing exactly, because all this kind of stuff, there's a formula to it, right? And formula is not good for long-term usage, obviously, because we're designers, we want to break that. But for a student, you have to know how to do things the right way before you start messing around with your own way of doing things, right? So because this business, we're at the end of the day talking about design here, we're talking about making a product, and there's a certain type of pipeline that goes with making products. And especially when it comes to entertainment products like movies and games, there are certain things you just don't break the rules for, because it has to do with science, it has to do with the way our eyes and our brains work. So there are just some fundamental stuff that you have to follow. But unless someone tells you what those are, it's very hard to figure it out. So you're just drawing by eye. It takes forever to figure things out. So in this case, I'm just following a very specific way of doing production paintings, taking the concept on the upper right or left, sorry, and rendering it out. He's got these kind of two pillars with the water creature kind of coming off in the middle with a stream. So obviously I'm changing the design a little bit to match my own taste, but I'm taking a gist of what he has there, the overall idea, and applying my take for it. So, and all this is being done without layers, very, very quickly. Again, each one's taking me about 15 minutes. So even though this is sped up, is not that far removed from the real-time speed. So now I didn't take these all the way to a complete finish, but I will spend another 30 minutes or so maybe on each one after I get this step down. So for this stage, I just want to show you guys how quickly you can capture this stuff if you know the kind of the basics of putting this stuff together. So this one I'm just painting with this all default brush. This is a calligraphy brush that's been squished to give it a little bit of texture. Used a little bit of custom brush for the trees, which you guys have seen me use in the past before. Nothing really special, just to knock this stuff down. All right, getting your basic composition things down, lighting, mood, right? A lot more effective. Like today, especially, these kind of production paintings are very, very useful in the scheme of things, in the pipeline, because they show so much. They show design, they show color, they show mood, or in this case, no color, but values. So they're a lot more beneficial than, say, a line drawing with some markers on top, which gives you design, but doesn't give you the rest of the stuff, which comes for free, essentially, when you do a production painting. So a lot of clients these days are actually looking for this because they get so much more bang for the buck, essentially, right? Because they are getting a lot more than just the design itself. So, and it's production painting is actually a lot easier to do than a line drawing on the upper left. Even though the upper left drawing is a student prior to them getting the fundamentals, it still takes a long time. This production painting takes much, much shorter time to put together. All right, and all that because there's a certain formula that applies. So I'm kind of checking the drawing, saying, okay, that's pretty close. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start another one. All right, so I kind of limit myself to about 15 minutes for each one. So now I'm going to start the one, I think this was by Eric, or the Minotaur or something like that, sitting on the edge of a hill. The original image is actually kind of cool. I'm sure that took him a long time to do. It looks like some kind of panel from a comic book. So I'm just going to take the same composition. The composition he has there is actually pretty good. So I'm going to keep it and just show you guys how we could adopt that into a production painting setting. So I'm not using the old painting, the one I just did, as a background. I've shown you guys that before in the previous video, how we cannibalize our own paintings to get the density and also the teeth for the canvas. So we're not starting on a slick, clean canvas, right? Because sometimes when you paint, it's nice to have a little bit of grip behind you, right? You can actually feel it, even though the Wacom tablet is smooth. When you have something behind it, it does give you a little bit sense of grip, so your paint mark tend to stick onto the canvas. So I just use the previous painting as the canvas. So, and it also gives you that density that you want without having to work hard to get it. So it almost comes for free. Okay, so it looks like in the original image, he's got some European style or fantasy style houses, but you can tell that his use of vanishing points is not really there. All his houses are side view. His trees, the hills, everything is side view or front view. There's no perspective, and that's what makes the image feel very, very flat. Now that does work if it's a comic book, maybe a cartoon, but in making 3D games and 3D films, anything that takes place in 3D space, in which somebody has to take your work and model it into 3D assets, you have to be able to describe this kind of spatial awareness, right? So I've taken his drawing or his idea and put perspective in it, drop the horizon line, put a camera in it, put a proper lens on it. So all these things, again, goes back to the core fundamentals. Those are actually, once you learn it, it's relatively easy to apply. And what I like to tell our students is that once you know it, your fear factor goes way down, right? Imagine you've never drawn a European village or anything like this. That if you use drawing by eye, you have to really struggle to get there because your muscle memory is not there. It's not trained to draw something like that. But if you know your fundamentals, then all you gotta do is apply the same rules. Put the horizon line down, put the camera down, put your vanishing points down, and just figure stuff out. And it just flows, and there's no fear. So here I'm applying the Minotaur. This guy took a little bit of time because I didn't know what pose to put him in, because the original one, he's kind of sitting on the ground. I tried to change it so he's standing, but end up putting him on the ground again because I just felt okay that way. And that also kind of sticks close to the original concept. So I actually like the shot design that he's got in the frame. It's kind of neat. It's kind of this interesting shot of a Minotaur kind of sitting on a hill, holding appears to be a staff of some kind. So I'll try to do the same here. Now this is a backlit situation. The moon is behind us, providing the kind of nice contrast to the Minotaur on the, well, now he's on the right side. So because it's backlit, our village rooftop has to go darker, right? Whereas the original, you can see the roof is very, very bright, even though there's a bright moon right behind it. So a shot like that would be very hard to pull off with the traditional lens. So, and again, those all stuff goes back to fundamentals of lighting and understanding of some basic science of cameras. So, and what we try to do, what fundamentals really essentially equals to is drawing things or painting things that your eyeball will see anyways, or a camera will see. So the closer you can get to what a human eye could see, the easier it is for your audience to understand what you're trying to show. So, and perspective, anatomy, those are the core things, right? If your drawing just looks wacky, like it doesn't exist in this 3D world, it has bad vanishing points or lack of vanishing points or no horizon line, these are things that our eyeballs cannot see. So right away, your drawings look 2D and look amateurish because it just lacks that kind of trickery to your brain, right? We're doing an optical illusion here to trick your brain to think that you are looking into a 3D space. The more you know about how that works, the easier it is for you to trick your viewer's brain to think that way. So, all right, so let's move on to the third one, I think. Yep, here's the last one, Susini's little worm fish, whatever that thing is called. So I'm taking the same drawing, cannibalizing it once again to just get the canvas back. Right. This one's a little tricky. In the original shot, he actually doesn't really have a camera at all. It's a flat, again, very typical of kind of self-learning artists. They don't draw with the camera in mind. They don't draw the horizon and vanishing points in mind. They just draw side view and kind of fake any kind of perspective according to what their eye could see. But it's not really plotted out. So in the original image, you can see that the landscape and the monster and everything is completely kind of dead-on shot. There's some perspective on the back of the original monster, but it's not very dynamic, and it has an impossible lens. It looks like something like a 400 mil or even 600 mil shot from really far away because everything is flattened out, but yet you're seeing so much of the monster. So it's one of those cameras that just doesn't, it can't exist unless you're really, really far away from the shot and then zooming in to flatten out the perspective, right? Because the higher distance lenses will flatten out your perspective. So what I've done is I've chose to take a lens with a little bit of fisheye in it, a little bit of a narrow focus lens, say like maybe an 80 or something like that. Again, but we're doing widescreen, so we have to do a little bit of a camera cheat. But that gives me a perspective push. That gives me a nice vanishing point that's a little bit closer on each side, right? For those who know perspective, I'm pushing my VPs together. That'll give me a more dynamic shot for the monster. So it look like I'm looking up at it and it's swimming across the lens. And the landscape around it will have a little bit of a warping effect due to the lens use. So, and this kind of stuff, again, goes back to fundamentals. It goes back to the understanding. Here I'm using the warp tool just to further push that warp of the lens, right? Get that roundness of the lens in there to bend the frame a little bit, right? And that's what a little bit of a fisheye lens will do. On the sides of the lens, because of the curvature of the glass, you will get this distortion. And it's kind of cool to render that into your shots. So the more you understand about this stuff, the more you could render, right, with this freedom to create whatever you want. So I purposely chose 3 images that are very, very different from each other. Right, we started with a kind of a forest scene, and we moved on to a village, and now we're underwater. But each one all have environments, some kind of living thing, some kind of creature, and complete different lighting schemes. But it doesn't matter. See, once you know how this stuff works, it's just producing. That's all you're doing. Because on a real project, this is often the case. You never know what you're going to start on a project. You never know what your producers or your art director is going to assign you. You don't know what the clients are asking for, but you have to be able to do everything, right? You can't get onto a project and they say, oh, now we're doing a underwater scene. You can't, oh, I never drew that, so therefore I'm off the project. That doesn't happen. I mean, if you do that, you limit yourself to a very small amount of jobs that you could take. So instead, you go, yeah, no problem, because subject matter does not get it's not part of the picture for us. It's all about understanding fundamentals. So you go from characters to environments to vehicles to outer space to other planets. Doesn't matter. If you exist in 3D space, we could figure out how to draw it and paint it. So, and that's the power of understanding your basic stuff. So nothing to do with drawing the same thing over and over, nothing to do with muscle memory, nothing to do with copying something, or doing fan art and all this kind of stuff, which doesn't really give you a lot of added value, right? So at the end of the day, drawing anything is good, okay? Like if you just draw something all day, that's good. However, like I said, working hard and working efficient are very, very different things. And for us in the pipeline, we have to work efficient, right? If you're good at something, but it takes you, say, 2 weeks to paint something, that is completely ineffective in our department, because most stuff in this business is 1 day, a few hours, that kind of turnaround time. So you have to be able to streamline your pipeline, capture the ideas down fast, and get it into production as quickly as you possibly can. So, all right, so this shot's kind of coming to an end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and spend about maybe 30 minutes on each one, so they're a little bit more presentable. But even at this stage, as you can see, they're showable to clients and they don't look, hopefully, as amateur. Of course, the design debatable because I changed it to my own take, but if you show this to clients, they get it, they understand the lighting is there. So all right, let's continue next. Hey, this is Feng, and now we're back in real time. So what I did is I skipped about 30 minutes of video, or actually about an hour and a half, because I put in another 30 minutes into each painting to bring it up to a little higher quality of standard. But they're not done yet. However, you're seeing that they're on their way to become finished. If I was to spend another, say, hour or so on each one, then they'll be pretty presentable. But this is the one with the water, with the creature rising up. Added some VFX to make it just a little bit more interactive, I guess. The lightning strikes in the water and stuff, right? I changed it a little bit from the original. Just my own take on it. Here's the one with a Minotaur guy sitting by the road, kind of looking at the town. The moon is out. Didn't change the composition all that much from the original. And here's the worm or snake monster in the water. Added some additional coral, some fish swimming around, just to give it a little bit of fluid motion, change the posture of the animal a little bit more, but following the overall design. But the point of all this, these 3 paintings, is to show you guys that with fundamentals understanding, you could take something that's relatively basic and quickly get to a result. You can see how fast I got to these within the first maybe 5 minutes into the painting. The overall shot design, the lighting, the mood, everything was already established. So the only thing left to do is just add detail, and that is always the easier part of things to do. So hopefully this video helps you guys understand the importance of core fundamentals. So just to walk away, keep in mind that if you're practicing this, practice stuff the right way versus just drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. That doesn't necessarily get you something good results in a fast way. In fact, just doing the mechanical skill of drawing could take you years to get better, and that does not mean you get better at everything, but you might just get better perhaps just at drawing one thing or something that's very repetitive. So yeah, so learn your fundamentals, learn your perspective, your lighting, all the stuff that's quite boring. Okay, don't let the fun stuff out there distract you. Eventually you'll get there, but you have to go through the hard stuff, the hardcore fundamental, the so-called boring stuff. Okay, you gotta go through that for at least a few months. And the reason why I don't do videos on those kind of things, which I explained in the past, is because it's impossible to cover fundamentals on a YouTube video. Our students are here doing this for 6 months straight, right? Basically fundamentals. They have another 6 months to do the design part. But imagine doing 6 months straight of fundamentals every day, 5 days a week and do it on the weekends. So to cover that in even a 1 hour video on YouTube is virtually impossible. And two, I doubt anyone watching YouTube videos will actually do the homework, right? You pretty much do a 1 hour video every single day, and every single day someone has to spend say 16 hours or so doing the homework for it. So it's just not feasible to cover that online. So I recommend you guys to look at some books, look into schools, whatever it takes. If you're serious about this business, you want to get into design, then you have to really study your core fundamentals. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Okay, talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.